I've got to wrap up, Steve. Really appreciate him coming and thanking me. And I think he'll hang around for a little bit, so if you've got any urgent questions or private questions, grab him out there now. But I'm going to introduce Tony Bauer. It's great having Tony here. He's not always here for these workshops. I went last night to Byron Bay Film Festival to the launch premiere of a movie called Marijuana Australiana. It'll be out on the web by Christmas. It was excellent. Tony was an absolute star in it. And if you don't know Tony Bauer, he's been the pioneer, I would say, in Australia of medical cannabis. He's the one who got on the news first up, healing epileptic children. He's the one who got locked up and got a lot of publicity. Finally, after multiple appeals, we hit a good magistrate who threw it all out of court, because he's been making medicine for a long time, giving it free to people. He got so many people in the end he couldn't keep up. So it's really lovely to have him here today, Tony Bauer.
Yeah, g'day everybody. I'm Tony Bauer. I started up Mullaways Medical Cannabis 8 or 9 years ago now or something, making different sorts of tinctures and oils and that to help people with, we found that it helps a lot of kids with autism, seizures and things like that. I originally started doing it for basically for people with cancer, chronic pain, things like that was why I originally started the medical side of things, researching it. Because really, I started off as a commercial grower. I was on the other side of the law. Some people say I still am, but I knew a lot about the plant. I understood the plant much better than even I still don't understand now why I know so much about it. But I did start growing when I was 15, and for 1 year when I was in jail, I grew every year of my life as a commercial grower, so and breeder. The medical side of things sort of just come with, trying to help a few people, and basically first up just giving the leaf and that to people to make cookies, things like that, There was a lot of other people doing this long before I started, Michael and all the people up here at Nimbin and lots of other people were hard at it long before me. I've only sort of stepped in helping where I can with people, I sort of, basically a lot of people that use cookies and stuff like that, elderly people, and they didn't like what they call the giggles when they had some cookies, they got the pain relief and everything, and but they didn't like the giggles. So basically I was just asked to see if I could get that side of things out of it in some way, and by researching different ways of doing tinctures and different breeds, and what we understood about things back then. This was early 2000. And what we understood about the cannabinoids that were in there then, and what we understood about science, I didn't really, because I wasn't a scientist or anything, I didn't know much about that side of things, but I knew about the plant. And so I started doing ways differently to what science does it, and to what most people do it. And I found that you can actually strip the crystal or the cannabinoid down by taking pieces off it, and you can do it in different ways. So you can add pieces back later if you want, by taking it down in different ways. A lot of people still don't understand why things are done certain ways, because they don't understand the plant or the crystal enough, because, well, science is only just starting to learn that part of this is water-based. What's the name? So, and a lot of extractions that I hear people talk about and doing, they'll use a high alcohol content. They try and use as high alcohol content as you can on the thing, but by doing that, you're not allowing the parts of this that are water-based to get into the tincture or whatever you're making. You're not allowing that to happen because up until not long ago, science didn't know that parts of this were water-based. They thought they were mainly crystal-based and oil-based in the plant. And now we're finding out because we know now, and I've shown some of the scientists over here at the university on how to strip the crystal down. So we know what's outside the skin because they didn't even know there was a skin on the crystal. And so I showed them how to strip it down so there was a skin left, and now we know, we're starting to find out what's in the skin of the crystal and why these are absorbent into different things at different levels. The reason that I do a lot of the tinctures that I make for kids are non-psychotropic in the way I make them and everything, but at the same extent they contain all the cannabinoids, whereas a lot of tinctures that people make, when it's stripped down and actually tested, it only contains half or 3/4 of the cannabinoids because of the method they've used. And it's like science does things, they mix it all up and then tell you what's in there. And it's like I've said to different scientists, different times, I can give you a lump of araldite. Most of you know that's blue, araldite. And the scientist can tell me the chemical structure of that and all about it. But can he tell me that come in 2 tubes? He can't tell you how it got there, and I'm not saying, and if he's never got it in 2 tubes, then he can never test it and he can never tell you about it. And science and the way they do things always follow these certain pathways of doing things. A lot of people now, and the people that are making different tinctures and oils and that, they're breaking away from the way science it tells you to do it, because they're realising that that'll get you this method all the time on but there's an incredible loss. There's most ways that people make stuff, there's a third loss. So if you start off with a pound a day and then you start making oils or tinctures or whatever out of it, you've lost a third of it by the time you get there. Well, there's other methods of ways of doing that where people are starting to realise that themselves because they're going to try them, the average person out there like us, we have access, if we can get hold of cannabis in some way, then we can do all these different extractions and try these different things to work out something that works. Works for us or for other people because we have access to swap and change and to try different things, whereas science, they get a certain amount of money, they have to follow that path, and whatever they find along the way doesn't really make any difference. They're not allowed to, they can record it and say, oh, we noticed this and we noticed that, but unless somebody invests money into it, they can't go back and have a look and say, well, because I noticed some of the science on that that's come out of Israel and that and stuff like that years ago on low dose tinctures, CBDs and THC and THCA. These were done years ago on low dose tinctures, and the scientists at the time noticed that it helped with certain sorts of seizures, but they were never allowed to go back and have a look at it until somebody paid some money. And then they got to go and have a look back through that science and say, oh, it's helped this person, helped that person. But at the time, we weren't allowed to check it. We weren't allowed to go any further with it. Whereas now, I know it's not just, I think a lot of it is getting forced by everybody out there, both the government and science, to learn much more about it, because when it comes down to it, when the average people like me, person on what's name knows more about this plant than scientists that have had access to billions of dollars over, years and years, and they still don't understand anything about it. We're still, we're supposedly leading researchers now in Australia. I don't know how we got to be that, but anyway. Because we still criminalise our sick people, so I'm wondering how we got to be leading researchers in cannabis, But, a lot of it is getting pushed by us, you know, science and the government to get them, to make them do things and make them have a look. Because the simple thing is that we understand these much more than they do. And I know when you talk to scientists, and I've talked to quite a few, they don't like it when you know more about something than they do. You know, and if you tell them that they're wrong, if they could fight, they take a swing at you, you know, because they get insulted by that. And so they should be, because in reality they've had all this money, and we know more about it than they do. And we're the ones that are paying their money, you know, we're paying the fines to get this stuff done, and nothing's getting done. You know, it's like Steve was saying a while ago with all the what's going on at the moment. You know, the government wouldn't deal with me, with Mullaways, so I've had to make up a new business. I can't even tell you the name of it because we're that close to getting through that don't want to make things up. You know, that we've had to go to these extremes of things to be able to get something accepted and to go through all that stuff like Steve was talking about. That's exactly what we're doing now. It'll take, like he said, about 9 months to a year for these trials and that to be finished, done. We'll get 2 or 3 medicines done in that time, and then we have to do it again. Every part of this, the government is going to make us prove every point along the way. They are allowing us now to use some research from overseas, and that to, you know, for the TGA and things like that, because all of this, as we're saying, it's all got to go through TGA, and that's exactly what we're doing now. You know, but the process, it's not a little process. It's a massive one, and the government, like I said, they're treating it like we're going to be using some kind of radioactive thing. So every part about this, we have to show that we have this massive amount of money behind us before we can get the licensing and everything, because they're worried if something falls apart in the business, then you have to be able to clean it up. And they're treating it like a toxic spill, that you have to have somebody out there picking all the leaf up. They're talking about something like well over $500,000 behind it as a clean-up fund. And as you know, any paddock, you could leave the gate open, there wouldn't be a leaf left the next morning. You know, people are going to clean it up for you. But any high THC plants, they have to be go through massive things. They'll all have to be fenced. Security is incredible on it. As you know, everybody's got to go through security checks to be allowed on access to the site. It's incredible what sort of stuff is involved in it to be able to even get the trials done on the what's name, and as to or high THC oils. It doesn't matter whether they're CBD or THC. In the finish, they are, I don't know whether they will really get approved, because unless you can go 100%, it's really hard to get things through the TGA, so it's got to be 100% thing. Science, they can already go into the lab and make THC 200 times stronger than we can do it, or an average person, not me. And they can do the same with CBD. They can make CBDs 100% in the lab. So anybody that thinks in the future that you're going to be able to do things with CBD medicines, all the rest, it's already owned. As far as I know, DuPont or Bayer own a patent on CBDs and have for quite a while. So they're not going to let anybody interfere with that. That's where Tasmania started off. They were originally going to make up a CBD medicine down there, use the fibre cannabis, because it's basically in Australia, it's one of the only breeds you can get CBDs out of in a higher quantity. It's very low, in no amounts in most cannabis that's grown in Australia. It's just not present at all. But imported fibre plants and stuff like that, it's in. That has a lot to do with ruberols that was introduced in Russia years ago. That was brought in to make the fibre plant lower THC, because the fibre plant used to be just a normal plant indica or sativa or whatever. You know, here in Australia we never had an indica plant, so that's what's gone wild here in Australia. Even though it looks like a sativa, it's actually an indica breed. It comes from the islands. It's just in different areas. It narrows off the leaf, but that has to do with water and the area, how hot it is, everything. The plant, as you know, changes to its environment. What's name? You can take a cutting, and I've shown this with different people. I can take a cutting off a plant and I can give it to 10 different people, you know, 10 different cuttings off of the same plant, and you bring it back in 2 months' time and we'll have 10 different plants. Everybody, because of what you do, everybody grows something different and it does it differently. With TGA, to get things through TGA, it has to be repeatable. So whatever you grow today has to be exactly the same next year, the year after, the year after that. And up until when I started doing this, according to all the scientists in the world, you couldn't do it. I've shown that you can do it over and over again, but it's something that you've got to know a lot about the plant, and it's something that you have to be able to follow through at all times on what's known, because a lot of people, well, to keep a mother plant alive, a lot of people wouldn't understand on how to keep that alive. So if you're using a mother plant for your cuttings and that, then you have to be able to keep that alive, not for 1 year or 2 years, but for 10, 20, 30. And you can never ever do anything wrong with it, because as soon as you do something wrong, that passes on in that plant. So now you might not produce this cannabinoid or that cannabinoid or terpene, myrcene, whatever is in there. All of a sudden that plant won't produce it again because you let the mother plant run low on water. As simple as that. You've changed the rest of that breeding. So for people to be able, and that's the way, because it's always been illegal. Who's been able to keep a plant for that long or learn how to keep mother plants for that long? Because the cops are always around busting it and doing things, you know. I just was able to do it because the cops got sick of me before I got sick of them. and which allowed me access to be able to do this and learn all these things and understand the plant, where other people never got that, don't have that opportunity. To be able to do it, you know. And to breed, we know that what's in the low THC plant, or the fibre plant, they're different cannabinoids to what's found in the high THC. Some of them are the same, but some of them aren't. So to actually make a medicine out of a low THC plant, you have to introduce some of the cannabinoids that are found in the high THC plant. But as you go down in producing like a low THC plant, what they call it, you're actually going down in the resin content, which you never hear people talk about. It's even been taken out of science on the what's known, where they used to get a gram and they'd extract that stuff out of that, and then they'd tell you how much THC was in that. But they tell you how much that resin content was in that gram. And now you never hear anybody talk about it. It's gone. They tell you about the THC level. Well, I know I can grow a plant with 23% THC. But how much resin is on the plant? Is there only 1 or 2 crystals? And when you go down and breeding THC and turn it to CBD, you're actually, what you've done, this plant relies on other plants because it's a fibre plant. So the way it's bred is like this. The plants are all grown an inch apart, basically. So they shade each other, they protect each other, and they create their own climate. And that's the way that plant's bred, in that climate. So it doesn't have to produce resin to protect itself from the sun. It doesn't have to produce resin to protect itself from the heat, because it's got this environment coming underneath that's bred underneath. So it's like growing in a rainforest area where you're creating this environment underneath, and that's the way these plants are bred. So while they're dropping in THC level and building in CBD level, they're also dropping in resin content. So that's why with fibre dope you have to extract a lot of plants to be able to get a little bit. Whereas if you use a high THC plant, you've got to extract one instead of 10. And the closer you grow them, if you spread your plants out, fibre plants, if you grow them out in the paddock in the sun, they'll grow altogether different to what they do growing them like this. And all of a sudden they'll start producing resin because they've got to protect themselves. They don't have a mate to be able to do it for them, So everything lifts up. The UV light on the plant is stronger, the heat around the plant, everything is stronger. So the only way it knows how to survive this is to put out crystal and to get the sun to reflect away from it. So that's what it does. It goes from a low THC or a low resin content plant to a high THC. Because what's happening here is you're not just producing more resin. It's like I say to people, say I have a 2% THC plant and you have a 4% THC plant. Now, when we go and roll up a joint and smoke that, 1/3 of that converts over, THCA converts over to THC. So now I have a 32% THC I'm inhaling, you have 34%. What's the difference here? Because my body is going to reject 2/3 of that. It's probably only going to take on 20% of what you just took inhaled. So where does this extra 2% come into play? If I take the resin content out, and I don't talk about that, which is what the government does, we don't talk about the resin content because what we do is talk about the THC level. But in reality, you can have a high THC plant with less resin than a low THC plant. And the low THC plant, therefore, is going to get you more stoned than a high THC plant because you've got a big lump of resin instead of a tiny little one. And that's partly why you see science and the government have taken that out of the way they talk. They don't talk about the resin content of a plant. And they haven't since, I think, about 96 or 8 or something was the last report where I read any science mentioning the resin content of a plant. So it's sort of, a lot of it, and like I say, a lot of that, they are different cannabinoids. So they have to be treated differently. If you're going to make CBDs, which if you're going to make a medicine out of it, you're dreaming. Because as soon as you get one, they're going to come in and tear you apart on their patent. So you'd never be able to make it even if you did make one. I'm not what's name. So as far as like I do, I wouldn't ever get into CBDs for that reason. It's already patented by drug companies that have much more money than any of us. And as soon as they prove a point with it, which is getting really hard to prove, they have with low CBD medicines, there's not a lot of research that's coming out positive on high CBD. It's in fact coming out in some cases quite the opposite. And I know that one test was stopped recently because a few people got really sick, brain damage, and that from it, and that was 100% CBD. Because it's like I say to people now, if a CBD, they always tell you, is a balancing thing. So they say that we bred it out in our cannabis here in Australia. Now, we'd like to think that we was that good at breeding, and we all done it on the same day or the same year. I don't think it's possible. If we did do it, then we'd done it for a reason. And because we've always been known to have the best medicine plant in the world. And I've shown that by entering competitions and everything all around the world, and I've always won. So that's shown over and over again. And we've never had CBDs. There's never been a test done in Australia on stuff that we smoke in the street that has CBDs in it. It's one of them, it's not there. And like I say, if we was that good and we all done it in the same week and bred it out right over the country, we done it for a reason, And well, I'd like to think that we're all good growers in Australia, but I don't think we're that good, to be able to do that. And the thing is that the indica plant was what was used for fibre. in Australia that shows through the history books and everything that come from the islands. And he introduced the indica plant as the fibre plant because it grew more rapid, with a stronger fibre, less internodes on it, so you could strip it down, you had a real long fibre on it, and it's very much taller, up to, I think they were getting 7 metre plants or something originally, much higher than what this room is, you know. What's the name? Originally out of fibre, but it was all high THC, there was never low THC or what they call fibre data. It was never in history or science or anything until America made plants illegal. And then for the fibre industry to stay alive and stay viable, they crossbred the rugularis plant with the normal fibre plant to drop the THC level. And then it took quite a few breedings after that to actually, because the rugularis plant only grows about a foot 18 inches high. So it took quite a bit of breeding then to bring it up into a viable plant for fibre again. But it introduced CBDs into the plant and it dropped the THC level because rugularis plant doesn't produce either. It doesn't produce resin, so, but it was capable of breeding with it. And as we know now, there's a couple other breeds of things that you can actually crossbreed cannabis with. What's the name they actually done it was what they call the Bindi plant years ago, and it's a weed. And they crossbred the cannabis plant a bit too again, and it made it grow all funny and different, but again low THC because it didn't produce THC originally. Yeah, I suppose if anybody wants to ask me any questions.
So with your, like, if you're going to end up licensed and everything and you're growing,
Yep.
and you've got your, like your mother plant.
Yep.
So like, I know it'd be hard, like you said, to try and keep that alive for 10 or 20 years.
It is very hard, yeah.
But so if you take cuttings off that, that's not classed as the same plant, is it?
It is now, yeah, under law. It never used to be, but I think there were some court cases. No, people have tried it.
Yeah.
On what's name, I think I even threw that way a little bit in one of my court cases, but no, it's been tried before and they class it because it's been cultivated, which means that, and cultivation under the term of it means that you've basically done something. You either got a seed and you planted the seed and watered it, or you've done a cutting and you took it over there and you put roots. So you actually interfered with the normal process. That's what basically under law I think cultivation is classed as, you know.
With vaping, you know those little vape machines.
Yeah.
Is that a superior way to get all the good cannabinoids?
For medical use, vaporisers are really good, yes. Yeah, they are. And you can use them quite often because you're vaporising THCA off before it gets to the temperatures, so you don't actually have much left to convert over. You still get stoned off them if you heat them up enough, but you get much more medical benefits from a vaporiser. It's really, well, eating it is still better because you're getting everything when you eat it, and it's going into your body non-psychotropic. You know. So
I thought eating it made a higher psychotropic effect because it goes through your liver and gets.
No. Less of, well, it basically stays the same. Because again, these are getting absorbed through your body. THCA, when it goes into your body, it's treated differently to THC, and while they can track THC through your body, where it goes, what it does, they have a real hard time with THCA because your body treats it like a sponge. It just sucks it up and it breaks it down into all these things that they just can't trace it. And from what I can understand, your body can take on something like 80 times the level of THCA as it can THC. It doesn't convert in your body like they used to think. It stays the same, it just gets broken down differently. Again, that's like CBD. CBDs have to be much higher than THC, so your body, they need a higher rate intake into your body than THC does. So if they are going to have benefits on something, if you were using it for cancer or whatever, and you used, just say you used 5 mil, strength-wise 5% THC and that worked, you'd probably need 15 or 20 or 30% CBD to get a similar kind of effect. Your body treats it a bit differently, and it's just got to be a bit higher dose, well, fairly higher doses to basically get a similar.
So if you're vaping it, would you vape the leaf or the bud?
Vaporising CBDs, it's getting tricky because...
THC.
Big bud, THC.
THC, yeah.
Well, again, you can vaporise it, yeah.
Yeah, what part of the plant would you put in it?
Well, again, just the crystal if you're using the best way of using a vaporiser, or medical-wise, it doesn't matter whether it's for whatever, if you've got cancer or whatever, you're better off always only using the crystal if it's going to be heated or burned in any way, because you might get a little bit out of the fibre, the structure of the plant, where the THC converts over in it. There's not much bar for the head, there's not much THC found in the plant, it's on it. I don't know what's saying, the only reason it's in the head is because it's forced into it as it grows. I don't know what's saying, it's not in the plant, present in the plant at any time. It's, the only reason it's there in the head, like I say, is because it's close together grown, so it's been force grown into the other part of it. Yeah.
Can I ask about what is detectable, what is not, because we've got so many RBTs in the area everywhere.
Yeah.
What's safe to take and what is not safe to take?
I think, like Pete explained, I don't think anything is safe. What I make non-psychotropic, you can use that, and nobody's ever been tested positive under them. But that's made on an alcohol base.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the exact methods, unfortunately, because that belongs to the business. But it's basically an alcohol base, and everything's kept cold. So you can, basically, whatever you're keeping things cold, and that you go making something non-psychotropic on the what's known, and then that depends on how much you use in there. But a lot of alcohol extractions and that won't take on, unless heat is used, it won't take on a lot of THC, unless that's all you put in there. So if you use like finger hash, on the what's known, because it's a higher THC than bubble hash. So if you use the finger hash in there, in the alcohol, that will naturally turn out a high THC tincture because of the method you use, what you put in there first. The finger hash is the high THC, whereas bubble hash is not. It's the opposite. The bubble hash is the low THC. What's known, because there's no heat. When you get the finger hash, you're breaking the plant off the heat from the skin. And because you're breaking the crystal, that's enough to convert that over and make it a high THC, and that's why if ever you smoke finger hash, you'll know that's why it's heaps better than anything else.
Fishermen's friends are safe to take. Fishermen's friends.
Yes, all the time, but because I'm only a little white smoker.
Because of the method, I always tell people, look, the method that hemp seed oil is made on, right? There's no THC in hemp seed oil. It's contaminated when it's made, so it ends up with a tiny little bit in it. That is picked up by the method that the police use to test it. Right, so if you say to the police when you get pulled up, I use hemp seed oil, I'm a heavy user of it, I have pancakes, I use this. Will it affect the test officer? He'll send you on your way.
Sweet.
Well, because it don't say it will affect it. Yeah. What you asked is the question, will it affect the test officer? And you will find that 90% of the time they'll send you on the way. And if they don't, and you go to court, now you have something in court. And they actually have to prove then that hemp seed oil does not get picked up by their testing. Right. And they can't prove that because it's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Because their test goes down to these minute levels, it can be picked up, and as Pete said, for weeks afterwards in some cases. And if you're a heavy user, and if you do happen to go to court and get caught, pardon me, there is some research out in Sydney University. It's done by Dr. David Allen, I think. Johnson, but anyway, Sydney University. He done a lot of research on THC and THCA years ago, and he showed that if you go on a diet or stress levels past a certain point, people that used to smoke heavy, because the THC is stored in your fat, when you get stress levels or you go on a diet, it breaks down the fat and the THC is released out into your system. So you can actually, if you were to take research like that in the court with you, that would definitely help. You know, if you was under some stress or you had some illness, and you hadn't, especially if you hadn't smoked for a while, research like that you can take to court, and that actually does prove that it is released out into your system under some conditions just normally. And that could have been 20 years ago since you smoked. It's still stored in the fat.
I've been tested twice, passed twice.
Can't hear.
Huh?
Speak up.
I have been tested twice and passed the test.
Yeah.
I would smoke a tiny little bud at night.
Yeah.
The testing was done at about 3 in the afternoon. I do fisherman's friends anyway, and I passed both times.
Yeah, they showed with emails from between Western Australian Police and New South Wales Police when they introduced the drug testing over in Western Australia. The Western Australian Police sent back emails to New South Wales and said the test isn't working. They were having up to a third where they knew people were stoned, the way they acted and everything else, and they passed and got through on the what's known these in their own emails. And they couldn't prove that even the times where they said it worked, that it actually did. Because the test, it fails that many times, you can't tell whether it's failing the truth or the lie. You know, and which is real. You can't tell because they don't know whether you can go in there and have never smoked and you can fail the test. Well, how in the hell can that happen? On the what's name, but that's genuinely happened. People that have never smoked are failing the test. On the what's name, well, the only way that can happen is if your test doesn't work. So you can't tell the difference between the truth and the lie. So if it's failing all these times, it just shouldn't be used at all. But,
another area that I have a concern, and it's a very practical area, is that I have this dreaming that when they bust, which I don't approve of, but when they do, if they could just give the contents to you, or to science, not burn it.
yeah, believe me, I have tried to get it, and they won't give it to you.
Because that's just
But I have tried, yes. Yeah, but actually to make a medicine, it's no good to me. Because the simple fact is I have to know where it comes from, what breed it is, how it was grown. Every breed that I use for medical reasons, it's grown under 3 different conditions, using 3 different methods, nutrients, everything, so that I can find out what's the best one for that breed. And then that has to be repeated over and over again. Because if I don't get it right the first time, then everything after that is going to be wrong. And you might end up with good grows and then all of a sudden you're producing cannabinoids that you didn't know were there first up. So you have to be able to do it at least 3 ways to find out which way the plant itself prefers.
Yeah, thank you. And they won't give you a note to say that you passed, because I asked. When I passed, I said, can I have a note?
Yeah,
to say that I passed.
yeah.
And he stopped for a minute and then he said, oh no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Tony, I was just wondering, is it really hard to get the CBD oils, or people that have got CBD oils available, how do we know?
From what now, here in Australia, it would be really hard to tell because there's no way of anybody to test it, apart from the cheap test they get on the internet. That only tells you where it's present. That could be in negligible amounts. Sorry, it's a really hard word for me to say. But until you get it under a proper gastronometer testing, you can't tell the amounts. I know I've even heard of some people where they're using apps on the phone. Well, an app on a phone or something wouldn't tell me anything. And if you're using a test like the police are already using, or similar sorts of things that are available on the internet, they're already shown that they don't work. So, if they don't work for the police, they're not going to work for us, and that's not an argument you can put up. It's simple that there is no way of testing. CBDs, well there is, but you've got to have the money and get to the right place. CBDs in Australia have shown through all the growth we've done and testing, really hard to produce. They have to be done in winter time, in the cold climate, in the breeding, in the plant. You can't do it in summertime. You can get very low amounts on what's known, because of the heat and the UV light. What's known?
Yeah, I think you can get up to about 5% CBD.
Big part.
You can get up to about 5% CBD.
Yeah, some of the breeds they produce now, I have no doubts, because in some of them overseas now they're producing up to 20%. I've heard, I don't know whether it's true, but I've heard that in some of them overseas they are getting that. So I'd have no doubts if them breeds were introduced over here and you was doing the growing right, as you know yourself, that you would be able to get them levels. Whereas the best we could get was a bit over 2%, 2.5%, but they were in breeds that didn't produce CBDs. One of them I think produced a tiny amount or something, what's known. So to actually get some of the breeds now and grow them under the right conditions here in Australia, I'd have no doubt you could get the levels, much higher. And if you say 5%, I'd say at least that. And growing under the right conditions, you could probably even get them a bit higher than that, but people have to remember when you're extracting CBDs from the plant, CBD, as we know, like I said, you use a third, you lose a third through extraction methods on what's known. So when you're taking CBDs out of the plant, you lose a third of them on what's known as they're going. So if you start off with, say, 5%, you're down to about 3.5% once you extract it out. You have lifted your THC level. So your CBD level can only go down through extraction. Your THC level can skyrocket through these methods. So on the what's known where you might start with a 5%, and like I say, the average extraction method will only end up with about 3.5%. And if you started off with just say 2% THC, by the time you extracted it out, you'd be 30% THC, 3.5% CBD, and then the rest of it, unknowns or THCA that doesn't convert or converts into other things,
So in terms of the extraction, is the CO2 method you think is preferable to alcohol or
It depends on what you're after, because like I said, each thing will, and as we know even with gases, you use different gases and they will take different things out on what's known, and they'll leave certain things in there on what's known. So when you want to extract, if you just after certain things out of the plant, then you can just change the gas, and that's all you'll take, is that substance. You won't take anything else because it won't be absorbed into that. What's known. So it's just basically, the chemical structure of whatever gas or whatever liquid or anything you're using, saying it will allow certain things into it and other things won't allow into it. And that's why a lot of extraction methods get expensive when you're going down to trying to get just CBDs out and things like that, is because of what you have to use to get it. It's not the method, it's the gases and all the chemicals that has to be used that just takes that, that makes it really expensive. And that's why most processors just don't, a lot of people don't, they just make it from one, however it's turned in the plant, what's that. But like I say, a lot of people don't explain that. They'll say the plant was, like over in England or America, they'll say the plant's 20% CBD, and therefore they'll advertise the medicine as 20% because they extracted it out on the what's known. But in reality, that's not right. because now that is 15% because of the extraction method used, and the THC has taken up the other, and the unknowns or the THCA is less, and you've had a conversion over depending on how much heat was used and how long a time. You know, because sometimes a little bit of heat, like your hands, can convert THC over a period of time, THCA into THC. That much heat. It only takes that 30 degrees or something for a little bit of time, and that's converted over. You know, people think because they cook leaf for a long time, things like that, that it actually takes a long time to convert over and that. I've cooked up different types of oils, checked them afterwards on what's known. Some of them, were quite a few of them now we've had tested, and the results are basically all the same. The longer you cook it for, the greater the loss. What's known as simple. After about 20 minutes to half an hour, whatever's in there, if you've done it right, is converted over. And you've basically got out. It doesn't just one bit convert and another bit. When it hits certain temperatures, it just goes and changes. And like I say, that's why a lot of people lose and so much is because I know a lot of people that cook their oil overnight and they've got some real low temperatures, you just leave it simmering overnight. And while it might make a better product, it doesn't make a better product at all. They think it does because it's greener, that's chlorophyll in there. It's not anything that's going to help in any way, although some chlorophyll they've shown in high doses actually is good for you in certain ways. So in some ways like that. But your THC and THCA have all been evaporating off and disappearing. What's known. So it doesn't even matter if it's pressure cooker, you've got steam coming out of it on what's known. And it's just, even under science, where they try to gather the air and everything above it to find out where it goes, what happens, they can't. They can know that some evaporates into the air, disappears, but it doesn't account for all the loss on what's known, what goes into there. Something happens in it where it disappears. It's, you know.
Can I ask another one? What if you just chew a bud? Just take a bud and chew.
Well, you can, but they don't taste so good.
It's always
Put it in a juice.
No, well, going through your stomach, you're naturally going to lose things, and your body's going to reject certain things, resin in lumps or in big, like thick resin things that a lot of people make. The reason why they have such a high rejection rate is when you take that into your body, it's like in a piece of hash, you put it down. Your body treats that as a hunk of fat. So it coats it and then tries to push it through your system. And the reason you only get a little bit out of it is your body's fighting to coat that and to get it out of your system, because if it's stuck to the wall linings of your gut or something, it causes you ulcers. What's that? It's really strong antiseptic. What's that? So you wouldn't be able to. A lot of things I tell people when they're making their own oils and that out of what they say out of alcohol ones and cooking them down, are getting to put a bit of hemp seed oil in it. I'm not saying so. If you've got to have a drop of it, I'm not saying get a drop of it and mix it with a teaspoon of hemp seed oil. I'm not saying now your body has a little bit of time to take that in. It'll still take it in high doses because hemp seed oil is the best carrier you can get through your stomach line. Pardon me. And so you're still getting high doses, you're still getting conversion in your body that you need from the high dose, but you're actually getting it all in there, or much more of it into your body, because you put it in a better carrier, and you won't end up with ulcers and all that kind of too. It's much better on your own system.
So we're going to have a break. Please thank Tony here for now, a couple of things I've got to tell you. We'll have a break for a little while. Do use the cafe out there, and the toilets are at the other end of the deck. You walk down that ramp, straight down the ramp. I think Sister put a couple of notices up. There's a medical cannabis workshop on the Gold Coast, 5th of November. Look up the MCUA Medical Cannabis Users Facebook. And after we come back, Dr. Andrew Catalaris will be talking. So try not to be too long, 20 minutes, half an hour. Check out the Hemp Embassy if you've never been there. And I'd recommend the ointment they're selling out the front if you want a really gentle introduction.